here we are, sitting down comfortably to hand finish. You will notice I took my lab coat off. I have to apologise. The barn in this week of the hottest weather in Britain has gotten up to about 26 in the afternoons. Right now it's about 21. So just because I need to get a bit more comfortable, I've put my black apron on now. In your quality controlled temperature laboratories, you're not going to need to do this. And of course, you have to reinforce that all students working within labs must wear their lab coats. So let's go on to just the simplicity of hand finishing. There's lots of good examples on Off the Bench, on Facebook. So have a breeze through all those years of records. But basically what you do is you've got your microscope at your side, and you take up your thin section and you map it. You put it on your microscope and you push. I usually start by going down through the middle from top to bottom to see how the width of the thin section changes or not. You do that by looking at your interference colors. And then I tell a student, go from each corner diagonally through to double check that. And even if you want, side to side, because you are here to try to moderate and get this thin section completely to one level, to get it all one micron thickness. So we're aiming for just above 30 micron. I'm afraid with all these rocks, there's just no way. The sediments are just surrounded by rocks. So I'm going to leave these thin sections just above 30. Pardon. Because if I don't, I'm going to be taking my sandpaper and mining in between rocks to try to grind just the little remnants of sediment. And what you're going to do is make almost a topographical map if you're trying to sand in between rocks. So don't do that. Try to get an overall thickness, slightly yellow for your quartz throughout. Now, I used two papers really, a 400 coarse. We'll put this thin section down. And you can buy A4 sheets at the DIY of this. It's just silica carbon paper. And I cut it into strips, which I can wrap around my little wood block. I'll send you a couple of these. I mean, it literally is a little wood block that I can hold in one hand. And I've been using 600 silicon carbon paper to do the hand finishing on these, because remarkably, the quartzes seem soft. They're not, there's enough fractures in them, there's enough give to get this silicon carbon paper on it, and it hand finishes fairly quickly. Let me think. What I was going to say is, you wrap this around. That's what I wanted to remember. Right. Remember, I'm sure I said it, but the 600 mirrors your fine wheel. Grit, your fixed diamond grit, mirrors the silicon carbon 600. The 400 fixed diamond wheel mirrors the 400 grit silicon carbon paper. So you're asking the papers to do the same amount of grinding, sanding as your wheels. So moving on then, you have a little bottle, squirt bottle of oil, and I put a little across the surface. Oh, that was a lot. So if you get too much, just pour it into a little, this is a 50 ml beaker, and reuse it. Make sure that the whole section is covered with oil. I've already scanned this thin section, and I know it's thinnest at the top and thicker at the base. So I'm going to start my sanding at the base, and literally it's making sure it's flat to flat on your white tissue. White kitchen towel is the best because you can see through to what's going on with your thin section, and as it starts to thin, you'll see. So you start in one corner literally where it's thickest, and you work it. I usually work diagonally across, and flat to flat, and then up and down. Change it around so that you're not getting scratch patterns that are the same across the surface. You want to mirror the action of the wheel, which does a circular scratch pattern. It goes round and round and round and round. Now you can try to do that, give it a go, but I usually work diagonally across, to switch directions across, and then up and down, and making sure when you have to go around the outside of your section to just pass the edge of the block. If that's all that's left, just pass the edge of the block, not the whole block, because if this is thin, you're going to make this disappear. If you're trying to sand with the whole block, you can target with your block. Then, as I say, go to the microscope and check it, see what progress you've made, and then look in your light. Now, I'll just show you. I've got a big 40-watt desk lamp, and I usually hand finish with this above the section so I can see even better. There you go. And I'll bring it right on down so that I can look as I go. Now I know that's a lot of glare, so I'm going to take that off while we're talking. But that is absolutely needed and a brilliant help. And really, that's it, hand finishing. It's just, going across your surface, switching your direction with your sandpaper so you don't create deep scratches, a deep scratch pattern. Switch it up, switch it around, and make sure when you're just doing your edges, don't put your whole block on the slide, or you risk sanding off the thinnest areas. Blue tissue to wipe off excess, and reapply oil when needed, and you carry on till you're done. Now, hopefully, I'd wish for you that you're not having to work. I've had to work on sections for an hour because of how difficult they were, But these, as I said, these are sitting just at the pale yellow to yellow mark, and they're hand finishing in 10 to 20 minutes, which is ace. That's great timing on the bench. So that's it. Depend on your quartz interference chart. I'll be running you maybe 3 copies laminated for your lab. And it's a must. Put it on the wall by the scope and you've got it made. Okay, next one will be cover slipping these.